Welcome to Spread Love in Organization, the healthcare leadership podcast where we explore leadership with purpose. This episode is in partnership with the Termeer Institute, a nonprofit organization working to vibrantly connect and empower the word of healthcare innovators until every patient has a cure. I'm Naji, your host, joined today by Kristina Masson, a global biotech executive, entrepreneur, and scientist with extensive experience in company building, translational drug development, and operational leadership. Kristina is co-founder and executive vice president of business operations at Acrivon Therapeutics, where she leads key business operations and works closely with the CEO and executive team to scale the organization and support corporate execution. Since co-founding the company, she has helped grow from an early-stage startup into a public biotech company with more than 80 employees, building high-performing teams and an integrated US-Scandinavian organizational culture. In parallel, Kristina serves as president and CEO of Acrivon AB, the company's wholly owned Swedish research subsidiary, where she oversees European operations and scientific infrastructure. Prior to her current roles, Kristina founded OncoSignature AB, a biotechnology company focused on biomarker discovery, which was later acquired by Acrivon Therapeutics and became foundational to the company's proprietary technology platform. Earlier in her career, she was a principal scientist at Merrimack Pharmaceuticals and completed her postdoctoral fellowship at the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard, where she conducted research at the intersection of molecular biology and systems science. Kristina holds a PhD in molecular signaling and MSc in biomedicine from Lund University, as well as an executive MBA from the MIT Sloan School of Management. She also serves as a mentor with the Termeer Institute. Kristina, it's great to have you with me today on my show.
Thank you, Naji. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and thank you for the nice introduction. Thank you also for doing this. It's a really impressive and important mission that your show is doing.
I'm really excited to get to know you more, hear all about your personal story and what drew you towards science, biotech, and wanting to build companies now.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to share. I'm Swedish, born and raised, as you mentioned in the bio, and I was very inspired as a young child by my father, actually, who was a scientist, and who was from India. So I'm half Indian, half Swedish, and I was very drawn to the stories he would tell about nature. And always as a young child, loved to be out in nature. It's also a thing we do in Scandinavia a lot. So very young, I wanted to go into science. I knew that for sure. And as a young adult, I was specifically fascinated by cancer research, I think, because that's where, we're all impacted in one way or another, sadly, by cancer, and myself included. And I think I felt that I really wanted to do science that has an impact and apply it. So early on, I decided to get a PhD, get my training, but quickly, I already knew very early that I wanted to move into biotech to actually apply the science that I had. So that was what brought me into this field.
So, and you moved, can you tell me a little bit more about this transition from academia to entrepreneurship basically today, and how you built your first company and now taking a company into becoming a public company? So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So as a postdoc at the Broad Institute in Boston, I had the privilege to work on a very cross-functional drug development program that was more catered towards biotech and pharma and how biotech and pharma develop drugs. So my PI was very supportive of this, and he already knew that I wanted to move into that world. So I applied for a job after that and got to do hands-on science in a company, which was a wonderful experience. But I always had this idea that I wanted to do something on my own. So that was sort of the step from academia into touching biotech myself, but then eventually becoming an entrepreneur. And that was about 10 years ago I made that jump, which was really when I partnered up with my co-founder, Peter Bloom Jensen, who is also the CEO of the publicly traded company, Acrivon Therapeutics. We partnered up early. We had the same background in molecular signaling in cancer. And we had this idea that, this methodology to apply to precision medicine in oncology can be much more accurate. We wanted to rely on something called proteomics and phosphoproteomics rather than inferring by genetics information, which was what was commonly done. So at the time when we did our PhDs many, many years ago, the knowledge was there, but the technology was not good enough. It wasn't high resolution and high throughput enough to apply to a company. But when we met 10 years ago again and started to talk about ideas of starting up something, the technology was there. And that's the pivotal moment where we went over to Copenhagen. We talked to this world leader in phosphoproteomics, Professor Jesper Olsen, and decided that the timing is now. And he is our third co-founder. So we're three co-founders of this company that we started. So with that said, it's really about the timing. The ideas were there, the thoughts were there, but the timing when, the stars are aligned, the people are there, the technology is ready, happened about 10 years ago. And that's how I made the jump into entrepreneurship.
Love it. So before you tell me about entrepreneurship's journey, I'd love to learn more about the technology itself. What's different about it, and what are you guys focused on as a company?
Sure. We have a platform. Now it's fully built out. It's called AP3, stands for Acrivon Predictive Precision Proteomics, lots of P's. And it really is all about accurately measuring what goes on in a cell in response to a drug treatment, a cancer specifically. And we use phosphoproteomics and proteomics to do so with high technology, high resolution mass spectrometry. So that's our core technology, mass spectrometry, which allows us to measure on a global level and unbiased everything, every single activation event that goes on in a tumor cell in response to a drug. So it really is an exact footprint, if you may, of a drug. What it activates, what it inhibits, what pathways it touches, and it allows us to get a very precise view of biomarkers, for example, predictive biomarkers in patients. It also allows us to predict resistance mechanisms, to design rational combinations with different drugs to have maximal impact with minimal side effects. And importantly, we use this method to screen for different indications where we believe that our drugs will have maximal impact. So it's all about really precision medicine using this method to maximize impact in patients and minimize side effects, right? That's what it's all about. And we are right now, Naji, focusing on oncology and drug development in oncology, but the method is completely agnostic to indication and drug modality. And so we are going to go beyond oncology already this year.
Yeah, I'm sure as you were talking about it, like immunology, basically like, so we treat so many diseases without really knowing the impact specifically
Exactly.
as you were describing it. So are you thinking about it as, is it kind of a companion to the drugs? Like, how do you think about it in the framing of the drugs we develop?
Yeah, so that's a great question. In the beginning, that was the sole purpose of the platform. It was a beautiful method to design companion diagnostics. And we used it to design a 3-marker test for our lead asset, ACR368. And so that's a great way to use it, to basically apply it to select patients and stratify in clinical trials. However, as we went along, we learned that there's so much more this platform can do. And actually, if you can use the response predictive biomarkers that come out of the platform to screen for ideal indications or even subtypes of indications that are already high in these levels of biomarkers, you don't necessarily need to take a biopsy then. You can avoid that. So you actually apply that information already going into a trial. And that's a beautiful thing that we want to, our whole idea is to have impact in patients and accelerate drug development. And so if we can do it faster by just more knowledge before we even start the trial, that's even better, right? But we have lots of options for this platform, and for sure, depending on the drug, it can definitely be a companion diagnostic with the drug. I want to also mention, Naji, that this platform is drug tailored, right? So we take this. Everything starts with a drug, and it could be something that we in-license. It could be our own. Currently, we are developing our own drugs in-house, and we are applying the platform for a smarter and accelerated design as well. So it's really powerful in that sense too. But we can really use it at all levels. So companion diagnostics is one application for sure.
So you have your own drugs. You said that you have your own research teams.
Correct. So yes, and we have actually over in Sweden, the subsidiary that you mentioned in the introduction is fully focused on drug discovery. So they are all, we are employing 16 scientists over there that are focused on the early stage programs. We have one program that started there and developed from scratch using medicinal chemistry, crystallography, and also our own AP3 method. That drug is now actually in phase 1. It's called ACR 2316. And we are also designing a second program now, which is in IND-enabling studies. It's a CDK11 inhibitor. So those are designed from us. Yes.
That's awesome. And again, it's like this intersection. Few companies are building both. The platform you're building on companion diagnostics, also response, and having your own assets. That's really great. And you add the complexity or the beauty, I should say, of US, Scandinavia, managing cross-cultural teams. So tell me more about this. Like, how do you manage all those intersections between early science, diagnostics, which is different, and then cross-country team building and collaboration?
Yeah, thank you. Now that you put it like that, some might also think we're it's a tough mission, but
you're making it work.
I want to believe so. I love how you summarized it. And originally, we started everything in Sweden 10 years ago, and the vision was always to be this, to apply cutting edge science to patient impact, and we started to kind of start small, set up the infrastructure for the mass spectrometry part. We did so in Sweden because we were close to the technology and the expertise there and had a very supportive infrastructure from the Swedish government, etc. We restructured slightly so that the headquarters was then in the US because both Peter and I had our networks here. We were trained here in the US. We had our access to markets, talent, clinic, etc. in the US. So it was always a natural choice. And I think the balance, we've always tried to balance sort of the best of both worlds, which has worked really well. Starting from scratch when we were only, one employee, we already envisioned that we were going to be a bigger biotech and try to set the tone already for cross-country communication, Zoom meetings far before COVID pandemic hit. We were already very used to doing that, defining our values together as one team, regardless of country. And we still do that. We believe strongly also in in-person meetings. So we've tried to always bring people together across the pond. We do it yearly as a whole company, but also many times during the year, we send 1 or 2 people between the different sites to just learn from each other. So we are one cohesive team, and that's very important. It doesn't come naturally, right? You have to work for it. You have to have intention.
But and as a leader, how do you split where are you based? How do you split your time? How do you think about this?
Yes, I spend majority of my time here in the US. sort of wearing the co-founder hats for the full company, supporting teams and people and the strategy and wherever I'm needed. Also a board member here. So this is majority of my time, and I spend about 30% of my time in Sweden with the more traditional CEO hat on.
Yeah.
And they're so they're smaller in Sweden, the team, and I have a very good right-hand person there that can run the show in my absence. So it works out really well.
That's great. So tell me now, you said you started this 10 years ago, small, and now you're a publicly traded company. How was this journey? What is different? What do you like? What you dislike? Tell us a little bit more for those who are going through it or are thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah. In the beginning, when we were very small, the challenges were different, right? You had, of course, there was a lot more uncertainty. We were still sort of working out our strategy, and we always had the scientific vision, and that has remained the same. But there's many different strategies you can take, and lots of optionality. And should we be a platform company? Should we be a therapeutics company? Should we be both? All those things kind of has naturally come together now, but it wasn't obvious in the beginning. And so in the beginning was bigger questions, a little bit more freedom, I would say, but also a lot more risk in a way. And I think as you grow and expand and realize you can finally hire people, that was an amazing moment. We could finally hire scientists that are better scientists than I ever was. It's a wonderful feeling. And now to see teams take shape and a culture, it's just a beautiful thing. We have so many fantastic people that I'm really, really proud of in the company. That is an amazing journey in itself, I would say. The challenges now are different, right? Now it's more at stake. Now you've already put in all this hard work, money and time into something that you really believe in, and the further you go and the further you come with that, the further it is to fall down, if you were. So it's a scary place to be at the same time as it's very exciting. But now it's just we're excited for, obviously the dream for me was always to have my science have impact in patients, and when we start seeing that, that is worth everything.
As you see what you said, your dream coming true, your science impacting patients and helping patients who need it, and you think about the future of this vision that you had of precision medicine and oncology, biotech innovation, what gives you the most hope for the next 10 years?
I'm very hopeful, actually. I think that not only our company, of course, but many, many companies across the world and research organizations are doing a really good job. And we're moving forward when it comes to oncology. There are many diseases today within oncology that are completely curable, that didn't used to be like that. And so we see progress all the time. And that's really fantastic. We see also precision medicine coming up more, which is wonderful to avoid unnecessary side effects for patients. So I'm very hopeful. I think that's also one of the factors where, the more hope I have about this, the more determined I am, right, to make it work. It's our obligation when we have good science and good people and good options for patients. It's our obligation to make it work. So it's all also helps to give inspiration and motivation.
So, Kristina, I'm going to give you now a word, and I would want your first reaction to it.
Okay.
The first one is leadership.
Yes. The first word that comes to mind is accountability. And this is actually also one of our core values in the company, as dry as it may seem. But I think to me, it really means, and I hope that leaders understand this, but it really means ownership. And it doesn't matter what level leader you are. People are always leader in their own space, right? But accountability and owning what you do, what your opinions are, what your choices are, and what your decisions are. They may not always be agreeable, and some folks might not understand it. But as long as you are accountable for it and stand by it, I think that's very important for a leader.
It certainly is. I love how you're framing it between being accountable and owning, owning your choices.
Yeah,
It's, we always talk about decision and making a decision, but certainly like when we decide one thing, it's a choice of not doing something else.
that's right. That's right.
The second word is EMBA. I had to ask you this.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Uh, I have very positive feelings when you say that word. What comes to mind is impact. Because I think, you can know a lot of things and you can be very good at things as a leader or an entrepreneur or whatever your field of expertise is. But making an impact is also taking it beyond yourself, right? Having a legacy, if you may, and I think that's very important, whether the impact is a company that you start or, just an advice that you gave to somebody more junior that then ended up starting something fantastic. That is all impact to me. And we will never know what is more impactful, right? You don't know. But with Emba and the network and the conversations we had and keep having beyond those years in class, I think it's very obvious to me because you meet so many amazing people, and sometimes one little conversation lead to a ton of new ideas and things that have a big impact. So yes, that's my answer.
I love it. And impact is taking it beyond yourself. I really love the sentence you said. Did you figure out your legacy?
Well, maybe. I'm not sure, but I know what I want it to be. I want it to be a type of leadership that is based on wisdom and kindness. And I think that's a word that is very rarely used with today's leaders in a busy world with, leaders hear a lot of buzzwords about what they're supposed to do, and that's fantastic. I hear them too. But kindness is rarely one of them. And I just want to say that it's not mutually exclusive with anything. You can be a very tough, incredibly savvy, very harsh or whatever business-driven leader, but you can still do it with kindness. It's not mutually exclusive, and I think it's somewhat forgotten. But it really that is again something that makes the process. It's hard enough as it is, right? But it makes the process better for everyone.
What about Termeer Institute?
Yes, it's again, it speaks to also what your podcast is all about, spreading love for people and organizations that do good things to people that have an impact. And that institute is very meaningful to me, and I hope to many, many others, because it is patient focused, right? So, you can have fantastic ideas, and there's lots of startups with fantastic scientific ideas. But what I love about Termeer Institute is that the patient focus comes first. And that we should never forget that. It's easy to fall in love with the scientific cool idea, but we should never forget what the end goal is and make sure that the investment that is put into our science actually reaches there. So
I love that. Well, you kind of answered my last word, but I'm going to still say it. The last one is spread love in organizations.
yes, I can only applaud you for having this organization. I think it's great that you do this every week, and I keep doing it. I think it's really important for leaders. It's very inspirational to see and to listen to this other people that you have on your podcast. It gives me hope. So I guess my word is hope. It gives me hope that we can actually be really strong leaders and accomplish great things that are really difficult, challenges every day with biotech, as you know, Naji, but still do it with love. So again, those are not mutually exclusive, and I'm very happy about that.
Oh, this is great, and thank you for your words, Kristina, about that. Any final word of wisdom for leaders?
Final word of wisdom. The pressure. No, again, I think in today's world, there's a lot of places we can go, and it's very exciting. There's a lot of opportunity, and I think it's even more important than to stay authentic. I know it's a used word, but it's really meaningful to be authentic and have integrity as a leader, because there's going to be many temptations and challenges along the way. But if you're not authentic, I think it's hard enough as it is, even when you love things and are authentic, and it's even more difficult if you're not. So that's my strong advice.
Well, thank you so much, Kristina, for being with me today and this great chat.
Thank you, Naji.
Thanks for listening to the show. More episodes in partnership with the Termeer Institute can be found on our platform. Make sure to subscribe to spreadloveio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Let's inspire change together and make a positive impact in healthcare, one story at a time.